Hello and welcome to Tech 18. I am Muhammad Adnan, and in this video we are going to discuss about the KQL database. There are certain important things which you need to know before working on to this part. So I hope you are getting clear understanding about this real-time intelligence and all this project which I am working on this particular time. So if you have any queries and feedback, let me know in the comment section below. And also if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'll highly request you to subscribe to my channel, like and share this video with others. Now let's get started. As you can see it on the screen, we have seen about the event stream, how we can ingest the data from IoT hub into event stream, and then how we can filter or manage the select the columns. We can ingest directly, or we can do the processing and then ingest back into KQL database or data activator here. So now let's have a look into KQL database here. So right now I'm into my KQL database here. As you can see, this is the KQL database name. And if I minimize this one, I can also see the tables and the structure here. So I'm just minimizing this one. It's giving me this live preview here. It's now showing up here 276 rows. If I just hit the refresh here, it is now showing up here with 534 rows. As I'm recording keep on, so it's adding up the information here. So this is showing up for the last 7 days. It's just giving the brief about your process here. Now if I scroll down, which has giving me here the 9 minutes OneLake latency here, and then compressed size is this one, ingestion type is this one, about that table it's showing up here. If you have multiple table, this will show multiple cards here. And if I click on data preview, it is going to give me this data preview of that particular table here. So if I expand this one, I can able to see the raw data here. So that's cool. So on the right hand side, as you can see, we have some other options, which is compressed size and original size. So KQL has compressed the data and then stored it in the table behind the scene. Right now this is the format is in KQL format, and now if you want this to be available in Delta Parquet file format, which can access by any engine of the Microsoft Fabric like Power BI, Notebook, Spark engine, so all those things. So in that case, it needs to be available in Delta Lake format. So that is you can enable these options. Once you enable this one, this will going to load the data from KQL database and then into Parquet file format. So that is actually going to use this one. Right now this is taking 21 minutes, but generally it will be fast itself. As I scroll down, this gives me information about overview on this one, and there is some certain thing which is caching policy and retention policy. So what does it mean? So on the top here you can see we have an option about data policies. But before that, in the top here you can see we have 3 different options in the ribbon, right? So you can click on event house and you can see if you want to add a new database, you can also do that. And here we have a minimum consumption. If I click on this part, when activated, the service is always available at the selected minimum level, and you pay the least the minimum compute selected or actual use. So while no longer paying for premium storage, the specified compute is available for all the database within the event house. This is actually required. So minimum available capacity unit size of event house on demand, which is going to change as per our usage. Or if you want to specify something which is extra small, and extra small. So this is the setting which they have given. So see basically how it calculates it. I made a separate video on the Copilot usage. So there I have explained about what is the CU and how we can use that. Basically in short, if you are having F64, then you are getting 64 CUs per second. So if you are using that entire 50 CUs per second, then all the other Fabric workload, you are not able to use that. So that's the main drawback here. So you need to make sure about what is actually you are using up on this particular path. So for now I'm changing up here to be on demand changing itself. We can directly use this here. So now let's select this option and then click on save and done on this part. And one more thing which I want to highlight here is if I look into the databases, we have an option about plugins. So if I click on this plugin here, there are certain Python plugins is available. If you want to enable those extensions, you can also do on this part here. If you want me to explain more detail about this thing, please let me know in the comment section below so that I can add those informations as well. And now we can click on the data policies. So it is showing up here retention and caching policies. So retention is limited. Right now both of them are turned off, but if I look into a table level, I can set up those information here. So what is the retention period here? If I click on this example for now, so the minimum is 1 and maximum is 365,500 days here. The time is spent for which the data is available to query measured from time for ingestion. from the time of the ingestion. It's not about the day, it's about the time here. Right now we're talking about this video. So from this time onwards, how many days you want to keep the data here. So it can be in the table level or it can be at the caching level. So caching period is also 30 days. Changing must be the lower, caching must be the lower or equal to the retention period. So how much days of the data you want to keep at this KQL database, or how much caching is also you want to keep here. So both of them is saying it has to be the same. The caching must be lower or equal to the retention period. So the reason is because if data is also not available, then caching is, there is no use of that. So usually people can keep it for 3 days to 7 days as the KQL database storage here. So this is purely depends on your scenario here, because if you have hundreds of devices you want to monitor and every second or 10 seconds it is sending the signals to KQL database, then this is going to be big, huge enough to consume all your capacity. So you need to make sure about you are defining that capacity in a proper manner, and also the retention policies here. Now you may think about, if I delete those data, what will happen to my those data? And if I want to have analytics on top of that for the old historical data, what should I do? For that we have a mechanism. So I will talk about that in the next video, how you can take the data from KQL and load it into somewhere else like Lakehouse here. Even the Lakehouse option which we have seen here, this is only applicable during this retention period. It's not going to available after the retention period. So if you need that, you need to build up a separate mechanism that I will talk about that in the future video. So until then, if you like this video, just hit the big thumbs up button. If you are new to this channel or if you haven't subscribed yet, just click on the subscribe button and also press the bell icon to get the latest notification. Just make sure to turn on notification on devices. Share it with your friends and colleagues. If you have any queries and feedback, let me know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Keep learning. See you in the next video.